Hi, I'm back, and in this project I'm going to show you how to texture and paint metal and add it to die-cut leather. We're even going to do some beading on it, so let's get started. The first thing that we're going to do is to go ahead and cut two of our shapes, and to do that I'm going to take my steel rule die, which is magnetic, and I'm going to put it on the shuttle. And I'm going to put the leather, this beautiful turquoise, face down with a cutting pad on top. And just roll it through. So there's one. We need one more, so I'm going to move the die. It's going to stay right where I put it because it's magnetic. It's wonderful. Here's our second shape. Then we're going to change out this platform so we can use the machine to texture metal. And to do that, we need to build up the base. So we're going to put in our standard plate that we're going to place in. And the next thing, if you forget how to do it like I almost just did, it says right on top how to do it. I love that we can use this machine for many different things. This is a texture plate, and I want this particular area. So I'm going to place my texture plate just like that. And then I place the last one on top and just run it through until you hear it click, just like that. You don't need to come back through. And then you have your textured disc, which is really great. The next thing I'd like to do is go ahead and paint it. And I'm going to be using my fingers, so I'm going to put a glove on one hand so I don't permanently stain my hands. And I've got some metal paint here. I'm just going to give it a quick shake so it's all mixed up and put a couple drops in one corner of my tray. I really love the metal paint because you can make your pieces of metal whatever color you would like. This time we're only using two, but there's many to choose from. Okay, so I'm going to get the first thing I'm going to do is simply paint the surface of this whole disc turquoise, just like this. I'm not being careful at all. And then I'm going to go back without even washing my brush out because I'm going to mix these colors. And I'm just going along the outside edge, just so I can bring more definition and contrast. And then I'm going to take my finger and literally just mix it together like that. And then I would let that dry. Rid of my glove. Here's my dry one. And I'm going to pick up, this is a pair of pliers that punches holes. I'm going to punch two holes, one at 6 o'clock and one at 12 o'clock, right across from one another, just like that. I have so many cool tools now. Okay. So I'm going to mark this one as top because if I move it, then I'll know which one is because we're going to make holes in both the pieces of leather. So the next step I'm going to do is literally center this on the circle of leather and then hold it down and mark where I need to make my holes so they match up. And I am also going to mark the top. So that way, I've always got it straight. I've got a small stitching hole punch here, and I'm going to put it on the second smallest hole. And I'm going to make a hole in each of those places. Then I'm going to take my second circle, and I'm going to put it face down because they're going to be glued back to back. And I'm going to line those two up, and then this little tiny Sharpie, it has just a skinny little head on it, goes right through those holes to mark. And again, I'm going to mark the top and punch those holes, just like that. Okay, next thing we're going to use is a super glue gel, and I'm going to glue this right onto the top of that leather. And the only thing you need to really be careful about is not getting glue in the holes, or you will not have holes. I'm not being very careful, though I'm staying away from the outside edge because I really do not want to have this squishing out on the side. Okay, so I'm gonna line up my holes. I've got top to top, just like that, and make sure I have an even amount of leather around the outside, just like that. And then you would let that dry, and I have one that's already dry. And our next step is we're going to do a little bit of beading. Now, we're going to be coming up through the base and right through the face of the leather. So in order to make sure that it's not tough on our hands or our leather, I'm going to put this on the very smallest hole, and I'm easily just going to randomly go right along the edge of that metal disc, about a quarter inch, 1/8 to a quarter inch. I'm not measuring, right? I go all the way around, and the reason is because I can either pick up a bead or discard a bead according. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So in order to do a back stitch, I've got holes punched all the way around, and we're going to be doing a back stitch bead. And you want to just come up through your first hole. And why you don't have to be very careful is that you can either add or drop a bead. So I'm going to pick up 3 beads here, and before I let them fall down on the thread, I'm going to stack them up on my needle and literally just lay them on the leather. And if the last bead is over the hole, I'm going to drop one, and it is. So I'm going to get rid of one, then I'll let them fall, just like that. I'm going to go down through the next hole, and I'm going to pull it tight. You're going to come right back up where you started, and I just usually turn over and look for that hole, put my needle back through it, tug it tight, and then go right back through those 2 beads, just like this, and pick up your next 2 beads. I have one here that I've already beaded all the way around, and I want you to notice that I'm using 2 different colors of beads. And that is so it just kind of creates an ombre look. I really love that it keeps your eye just a little bit more busy looking because it's not all the same all the way around. Now, so we have our beading done. The next step is we're going to glue the front to the back. So I'm going to get my leather glue. I'm going to get the excess water out of the brush. And I'm going to take the back side and put the glue on it, not the beaded side. I'm simply going to cover it pretty well, like that. Then I'm going to line up my holes. Where's my top? See, that's why I mark. It makes a difference. Just like that. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and pinch all the way around, and then it's going to be time to work on our drop, dangle, and our connector. So I've got 2 6-inch pieces of 20 gauge wire and some specialty pliers that make great loops, and go right in the middle. And I'm actually just going to make a very big loop in the center, just like that. Then I'm going to separate it out a little, and I'm going to line it up and put it through my holes. I'm going to work it through until the big loop is on top. I'm going to straighten one of those wires, and then I'm going to wire wrap twice, nip it off, and add my beads. Let's look at this finished one here. You can see that I added bead caps on the beads and a little tiny crystal dangle. It's been really fun to show you this project because working with die-cut leather is a lot of fun, especially when you make it into multimedia.